Right, so this video is about what tools to use in order to justify one's argument or to prove anything that the reader might query. This particular video is all about. So here we have, having done the last video where we determined the body of the report, and this is not the same report, I'm just using another example here, but here we have a particular mind map where the operational efficiency of bulk water supply system is investigated. We've broken up ours into problem, cause, solution, but then also advantages and disadvantages. So this is quite an innovative design. I like the combination of two models, PCS and then A and D. All right, but let's go and have a look at the causes here, because what I normally do with the delegates is I then say to them, right, go and prove this point. All right, this is clearly one of the sections or paragraphs in your body. Go and prove this point. And the one I would identify here is possibly pressure imbalances and leakage points. All right, now clearly there would need to be data on that. So what I'm going to put up on the screen now is some raw data showing pressure imbalances and leakage points. Just as an aside, I did generate this data randomly on artificial intelligence. The data is not actually accurate. All right, so that's what we have there. So now that you've seen the actual raw data, it's recommended that the raw data is placed in the back of the report. Okay, but the process data is placed right here in the body of the report. You would then need to decide what's the best tool. Is it a normal bar chart? Is it a column chart? All right, what is it? Okay, that actually sorts this all out. That makes it abundantly clear. And that, once you've decided, then looks like this. And here is how you should place it inside the report, and you should reference it using the figures and tables feature in Microsoft Word. Remember, the criteria for excellent use of graphics is, less is more. Minimalism is very important. On the same page, proximity. All right. Referencing techniques, so figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. Those are the kinds of criteria you should be aware of. In the lesson attached in the document, the PDF, you will see a breakdown of the best practices for that. Another one I might have chosen was, right, increase maintenance and operational costs. That's an easy one to prove. All right. Enhance system reliability, but that of course would be a hypothetical advantage, so that's difficult to generate data for that unless one uses a case study from elsewhere. A solution, introduce design optimization, implement real-time monitoring. Difficult to prove, but remember, these are their hypotheses. All right, the suggested solutions. But something like inefficient bulk water supply system, very easy to prove. Okay, poor design or outdated infrastructure. Remember the distinction between raw data and process data. So as promised, here are the records that I have generated. I just asked ChatGPT to generate 30 random records, fictitious of course. I asked for the zones to be limited to 4, so we've got the 4 zones there, and I asked for the primary causes to be limited to 3, and then here all the metrics. So this is raw data. Now remember, what we want to do is prove the various pressure variances, and as a result the water leaks, the water loss per month, which it is wonderfully provided for me up here. So the point is not that I managed to generate this data through ChatGPT. That's another lesson, another exercise entirely. The point here is that I was able to identify raw data, and this particular data set should be included not within the body of the report, obviously, but it should be recorded under the appendices. It is the processing of this data, which we will do in due course later in the video, in the form of pivots, slicers, slicing and dicing the data, and perhaps even a dashboard that we will put in the body of the report under that particular item. If you recall, let's see if I can call it up here. All right. Under a new document, so Word file, new document. Let's go and put it there. I think I've still got it on the clipboard, so Command V, there we go. If you recall, it is this point over here, the pressure imbalances and leakage points. So we are going to be placing that very analysis under that particular point, which is under causes, which is part of the body of my report. So what is the tool that is best? So we are just going to be looking at a distribution of different causes of leakage points, and probably a pivot table, and then a pivot chart based on a pivot table. That would be a superficial analysis, but it might be necessary. Remember, we need to prove this very point. Okay, we need to prove this point, and in proving this point, what we need to do is probably generate a pivot table. So let's see if I can do that right here. I'm in an apple, so I could use equals pivot by. So let's use equals pivot by just to do that. Let's see if I can do that using equals pivot by. All right. Wrongly spelt. Pivot by. And I'm going to go up here into the edit line. So the row fields are going to be the zones. All right, semicolon. The column fields are going to be the primary causes over there. All right, a semicolon. The values, let's say water loss. Let's just look at water loss firstly. Water loss. All right. Okay, and a semicolon. The function is literally going to be sum. So we're going to look at the sum, close the bracket. So here's the pivot table to the right using the pivot by command, and then we could in fact insert, let's see if this will work in the Apple, recommended chart. There we go. I shouldn't have looked at total, so what I should rather do is choose only that data over there, and let's insert a recommended chart over there. So let's go with the stacked bar. Okay, so there's the stacked bar. Now this is what I'm going to be placing inside my report. West distribution trunk, southern agricultural line, north pipeline sector. There we go. And broken down through the legend. Of course, we can make it look much better a little bit later. Let's turn it into that. That's very much more what I want. Okay, we can change the chart title and everything, but you copy paste it straight into that part of the body of my report.